Welcome back to Signing Day Central here. We're going to take a look at the defensive players with defensive coordinator Art Link. Art, welcome to the program. It's an exciting day for you and the staff.
That's right. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to get the guys in here. We've been, dealing with them now for a year and a half, and we're excited to finally have them signed.
Yeah, and those kids signing, getting their faxes in or their emails in and making sure that was not a problem. You had all 25 kids got their letters in, and that's always a good feeling.
Absolutely. We're excited whenever you get the letters, they come in. Now you can text them. All the different rules change,
right. Well, people don't know that there's a little bit of a dead period around that signing date where you can't physically be in person and see those recruits, but you can text the back and forth and things like that.
Yeah, we can. Right, and you could only message through Twitter or whatnot,
right.
Email, and then it goes to correspondence changes. It's a little easier now.
Social media nowadays with recruiting has to be a nightmare, as opposed to who's cheating and who's not, right?
Yeah,
But there's a definite period around the signing day, I think it's 48 hours both sides, where you can't physically be in the school. So you have to give them a little time to breathe, but you can still contact them in certain ways.
Right, absolutely. You got the Twitter message stuff. I believe you get the one call, but you can't go there, and it goes quiet there. So
right, and I think that's appreciative for the parents and for the kids. They need a little downtime, but so nice to know that when you have 25 kids out there and you have to babysit them nowadays. It's not like it used to be here in the Patriot League where you would do all your recruiting in basically 45 days and then hopefully on the signing day you had those. But these are kids, some of these kids that have really committed early back in June, July, August, and now you've got to babysit them. And like I talked to Mickey about is this isn't their first time on campus for their visit. They've been here before.
Right, so, yeah. The vast majority of the guys we're recruiting have come on junior day, or we've invited them into practice.
Right.
They come back for summer camp. Mm-hmm. We offer them a scholarship. They're coming for a game. Yeah. Then they're a lot of them are signing early decision paperwork, and then they're coming for their official in December. So
99% of the kids have a real good feel about what Lafayette's all about. The fact that it's an undergraduate school, the fact that this is a school where you're going to get blasted with education. And then the second side of it is you're here to play Division I football as well. So the best of both worlds. But the kids have a good feel for that before they even put their name on the line.
Absolutely. We're going after student athletes. You're going in there, you're digging through hundreds and hundreds of transcripts to find the right guy that fits the right profile. You're then asking the coaches, is this a Lafayette kid?
Right.
And then after they check those check marks, then you're popping the tape on and you're going after them at that point.
So there's a lot of preliminary work before you even get to the point of can he play.
Right, yeah. At this level and at this type of school, we got to make sure we're getting the right type of kid.
Correct. Before we move forward, let's talk about last year. Some of the things, obviously, we talked so much about the injuries, we're not going to harp on it, but I would think you got to get a little bit more pass rush. Keep kids healthy, number one. Get a little more pass rush, and that'll help the back end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's twofold. You need the pass rushing four guys and being able to play coverage.
Right.
When you do pressure them, you got to be able to play tight coverage. Mm-hmm. That's something, especially on third down. The year before, we were like 29% on third down, and 8th in the country. And this year we were near the bottom.
Right.
So, and that is in part because of a pass rush, as well as being able to get pressure with four, as well as being able to cover them and not give up X plays. So.
Well, anybody that tunes into the Super Bowl this weekend is going to watch a team, the Broncos, who can rush four. If you can get pressure with four, you don't have to bring 5 and 6 and 7. It just does so much on the back end because those four guys up front for the Broncos can rush the quarterback, and that, I think, with some guys getting healthy, is what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some guys in this class that we're really excited about, too.
Right, exactly. And then on the second level, you have a guy like Brandon Bryant coming back. Brandon's developing his games, got to get better, obviously, in the pass drop area, things like that. Moves real well going forward. He's going to be a key for you as well. You lose Mark Dodd. And then that striker position, which is a position that you hold close to your heart. We moved Jerry Poe there last year a little bit, an athletic kid.
Right, yeah, we moved Jerry Poe. He's a safety. He was roughly 190 pounds. We're looking at him being like roughly 205 now, coming out of the winter break. He knows where he's going. He's really long, so he can put the weight on and still be able to run, as well as one of the freshmen we're bringing in. That'll give us some depth at that position and gives us that versatility to be a true nickel, third safety on the field.
Yeah. Now you lose Smalley and you lose Roberts, obviously, and Benchco. but you're going to fill them in. Obviously, you're real excited about a Butler, and you're real excited about Poe, and you're real excited about James coming back. A guy who played so much as a freshman and was so excited about Draylon James. Didn't play much last year, if at all. So you got a nice nucleus of kids coming back, some kids you can work with. And just like the offensive line, the secondary is an area where you got to communicate, you got to play as a group.
Yeah, and Coach McFadden does a great job with those guys. And, we just got to give them the tools. We got to stay healthy. And I believe he'll mold those guys into a good secondary this year.
Okay, and going out there, you obviously were looking for some defensive linemen. What is the big key when you look at a defensive lineman at this level of football? What are you really looking for? Obviously, size, strength, speed, but you don't always. Those kids sometimes will end up going to bigger FBS schools. But a kid here, that's got to be a tough position to really recruit for.
Right, it is, because you go after the same, 6'4", 6'5" guys that everyone else does.
Right.
One thing that we've done is we try to track arm length, look at arm length, right? Be able to have that extension. You might get a kid who's 6'2", but his wingspan and his arm length is of a kid that's 6'4". So and then the other thing is we're looking for is just overall twitchiness, the ability to get off the ball, that get off. And if they have that on tape, they have length, as we would call it, not necessarily how tall he is, but we may have to take that 6'2" kid who's twitchy and who can really get off the ball.
I love the terms that coaches use: twitchy, shock, explosiveness, hip roll, nasty. I mean, these are things that you're using every day with the kids. And when you're sitting in that room and you're looking for a defensive lineman or a DB, can he twitch? Does he have COD? Can he move in space? Does he have feel? I mean, these are things that it's coachese is really what it is. So we'll talk about the defensive lineman. We're going to start with Ryan Barnett. Ryan is out of Chatham, right here in New Jersey, 6'3", 250-pound kid, has really grown into this body. Because when I saw him last year as a junior, wasn't as big. No. But he's grown into this body, and that's one of the things I wrote down. Big body, very athletic, and he makes plays. So tell me a little bit, before we roll his film here, what you liked about watching Ryan Barnett.
Well, one of the things, like you said, is how much he has come from in the spring to now. Pretty much a wow factor. We did get on him. We've known about him for a while, but we really started recruiting him harder and harder in the last month. And we're really, really excited about him and what he brings to the defensive end. And we're excited about his length as well.
Yeah. Well, what I like is the fact that he's played on his feet. So he can now put his hand down if he needs to. He can stand up. He can run the hump, as I know you like to say. But this is a kid that can play on his feet, and those kids are tough to find that can rush and drop like you like to do.
Right, yeah. The ability to stem out of a four down look into a 3 down look, it does give you something. And his versatility, his ability to play in a 2-point does help you.
Yeah, and we've seen him do that and play downhill. So let's roll Ryan's tape. Ryan Barnett, Chatham High School, which is only about an hour from here, 6'3", 250 pounds. And Ryan, you're going to see him on his feet. He's number 4 right there. You're going to see him playing downhill. He attacks. And again, the length, the arm, like you talked about, the length of the arms, they get into the backfield, make plays. He's athletic. He's quick. This kid, I'm hearing right now, is approaching 240, 250 pounds.
Yeah. Maybe he was a 210, 215 guy, but had the frame.
Yeah. Watch him scrape over the top right there. Again, finishing nice and nasty. He keeps his shoulders nice and square. Watch this. Gets to the corner. That's a running back he's running down, and that's a big man doing it as well. Here he is on the defensive, right there. You get a look at him at the defensive end position. Shed, continue to pursue. Does some nice things. And Ryan Barnett, I think, is going to be a good one. He is a hockey player, too. Again, and a kid that I think is a tremendous hockey player. 3.97 GPA. So you're getting a kid that's smart, a kid that's got a high football IQ, comes out of a really nice program, and I think Ryan Barnett's going to be a good one for you. You would probably start him in a 3-point stance, you think, at the defensive end position?
Yeah. Right now, the depth there is where we need him. Plus the guy's 245, 250. Yeah. We're looking for his size. That helps us.
And you're bringing some kids back. You're going to get Leonardo back. We talked about him out of Bethlehem High. You got Lavelle Ramsey coming back. You got Bo Bosch. Bo had a little bit of a setback, I heard, with a knee, but he's going to be okay. And then you have Rothrock. So that group's shaping up nice in there. And obviously, like you talked about, being able to get to the quarterback with athletic kids that can play the run and get to the quarterback is very important.
Right. And sometimes you want to be able to use some of the freshmen. Maybe they're not physically ready, but if they have that twitchiness, we can utilize them on 3rd down as well.
Right. All right, we're going to move on to Demetrius Breedlove. Meech, I guess he likes to be called. So for the next 4 years, Gary and I are going to call him Meech.
Nice.
A big man, McQuaid Jesuit High School. He is out of Rochester, New York. A big man, a player a lot of us have heard of. Alumni out there talking about. He's a big kid, probably a kid that could go bigger, but really settled on Lafayette, and looks like he's found a home. This is a kid that you're excited about.
Yeah. This kid is something. As you got Coach Wojcik and Coach Dell have went out there in the spring, and originally had Syracuse offer and whatnot. So, and the head coach came and he's like, hey, listen, this is an academic guy. His mom really values education. You need to stay on this guy. I think he's a guy you should look at. So we continued to recruit him, and this kid is very, very athletic for a big guy. Yeah,
first team All-State offense and defense. That was what jumped out at me. An honor roll student, a New York State All-Selection, Rochester City Athletic Player of the Year. This kid is amazing. He really is. He's got what you call, he's got the twitch. He's got some nastiness. He can play either side of the football. I know you guys are going to play him on the defensive right now, but we'll roll his film. He's pure athleticism, a 6'2", 275 pounds. He's even bigger, I think, now. But when you watch the nimbleness of his feet, look at him, the size of him. Gets inside, gets to the quarterback. This is a kid that can change a defense for you. I think he's a kid that I'm incredibly excited about. I don't want to go overboard because I haven't even stepped on the field yet. Right. But this is a kid that I think is a game changer. Yeah, when you're recruiting profiles of a guy, right. Anytime you can get your play 4-down defense, anytime that you have a 3 technique or defensive tackle that has that twitchiness and can do it and can rush the passer as well as play the run, that's a game changer. Look at him here, I mean, and those are the type of kids, if you can play with a kid like that, play him at a 3 tech, and then maybe even if he's got the skills to rush the passer, when you go passing downs, you could go to a 3-man rush and put him on the nose. Yeah. You could put him at the 5. I mean, these are things that he can do athletically. He can even drop into coverage. I mean, Breedlove is a kid that plays in space. Saw him caught 60 balls as a tight end. Look at this catch. I know. That's a one-handed catch up over the back. I mean, that is just incredible. Just really a special player. And you're telling me he's even a better person than he is a player. Yeah, he's an unbelievable young man. And as a matter of fact, sidebar, one of their assistant coaches at his school used to work with me at Campbell in North Carolina, and he gave me some. He always gave me information on him. He kept pushing him. He can play tight end. He can play DN. Yeah. I love that. When a guy can play different positions and a coach pushes him like that, and this is a kid I think we got to get used to. Meech is going to be a player here for a long time on College Hill. He's going to be a good one. He is undecided right now, which I think is a good thing. When you come into college, what are you going to major in? Well, kids don't know. They change here and there, and he's very academically oriented, as you talked about with his parents. So a kid that I think is a special get here at Lafayette. He's going to be a good one. He's going to be nice in your 4-2-5. There's some things you're going to get excited about doing in the secondary. He changes coverage. He can do those things for you when you can just have to rush 3 and 4, obviously. I got to tell one quick story about that. You have Coach Wojcik, who was actually in the hospital, all right, and he's good now. Yeah. Everything's good. But while he's in the hospital, he's in and out of things, and he's yelling to his fiance, Breedlove. Breedlove. All he could muster up over the Thanksgiving break was Breedlove. So his fiance calls me, and it was like, all Coach Wojcik can talk about is Breedlove. So that's what he means to our staff, Like Prince of Tides at the end when he's like saying it as he goes over the bridge, Breedlove. Well, Meech is going to be a good one, okay? Let's get him in here, keep him healthy, and he's going to be a nice one. We're going to move on to Keith Earl. Keith is also a defensive end, 6'2", 230-pound kid. North Penn High School, Mayfields High School, a place where he's going to be well coached. North Penn is one of the best schools in the not Lehigh Valley, but in the entire eastern part of the United States, and Keith Earl can run the hump. Yes, he can. This is a guy who was at Lawrence First and Goal. He's an engineering student. Mm-hmm. He really checks all the boxes. But you watch him at LFG, and I don't know, whether it's guys with grades, without grades, whoever he was going up against, nobody blocked him. I got Coach Devani next to me, and I got him. I'm like, there he is. Watch him. Here he comes. Right? And you talk about a guy who really can go, and he's really twitchy. And then, Coach Clayton did a heck of a job going and getting him. The first thing I wrote down when I watched Keith on film was his explosive first step, the ability to get off the football. So important, especially at the defensive end position. Watch the football, get off. And he has an incredibly explosive first step. We'll take a look at Keith Earl here again, 6'2", 235 pounds, out of North Wales, Pennsylvania. That is just down here, not even 45 minutes here from Lehigh Valley. And you're going to get a look at him. Just watch him come around the edge. What I like, too, is the way he can stop and change direction in space. Yeah. Takes on 2 blockers here, making a play in the backfield. He's going to be a nice pass rusher. And that, again, a kid that maybe could see some time, especially. Reminds me a little of Lavelle Ramsey a little bit. Yeah. Again, watch him explode inside back into the B gap here.
Yeah, this is a guy who, he played defensive end. Right. And, recorded, I think it was like 20 and a half sacks or something like that.
That's what I have.
So he's a guy that can get to the quarterback and has done it.
Watch him.
Yeah, he's a twitchy guy. He's gonna help make Coach Dell a really good coach.
Yeah, he is. And I think Coach Dell, I said, Coach, you got to get those guys to play as well as you played. He goes, I'm trying.
He's bending right
14 sacks, 13 tackles for losses. That's huge too. Yeah. People don't talk about look at that. Yeah. TFLs, the way they can get into the backfield. But a lot of guys can get in the backfield but can't make a play.
Right.
You can get in there and disrupt things, but a guy like Keith Earl with that many, look at again, getting inside, ripping through, driving that left arm up in the air to separate with violence. Look at that. That's a change of direction on a boot play. A naked play comes back out the backside. He had 12 catches offensively as a tight end. First team All-State Pennsylvania, Southeast Pennsylvania Suburban First Team All-State, a mini Maxwell Club Award winner, a track standout. His grandmother played basketball at Alabama State, so he's got some good lineage there as well. And you talked about it, a civil engineering major. Check all the boxes.
Right.
I mean, Keith Earl is a guy that's going to walk in here and he's going to walk out of here with a civil engineering degree and he's going to play some great football. I mean, this is the perfect school for Keith, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when we talk about that is, when you talk about kids when they come on campus, can you sometimes see their eyes light up when they know, like maybe they haven't been here, spent the night, but can you kind of tell before they leave, like, we're getting that kid?
Yeah, you can tell, and you bring their families in. Like he came after Lawrence First and Goal and toured the facilities, and then you start talking about the importance that we place on academics, and you just see the kid like, this this checks the boxes for me. So
that's a good feeling when, as a coach, that you've made the right match.
Absolutely.
And then when these kids get hosted, do you put him with another defensive lineman, or do you put him with, say, Mayfield because he's from North Penn?
Very often we'll put him with someone who who's closer, maybe just that would be a freshman, someone that might be a little bit closer. But sometimes
you don't like to use upperclassmen. You like to keep it that that level.
Someone that they may see, someone that's a little closer age-wise to them. But sometimes we do put them if they know them really well, or they say I want them.
Hey, you're going to put me with somebody. And Coach Hallahan touched on that a little bit. That's an important process when you talk about the recruiting is getting the right match, because you might have the right kid, the right school, but for some reason he and the host or he and the dorm or the situation he's put into just doesn't match, and that can create some problems.
Oh yeah. If you have a guy that creates a environment where the kid becomes disinterested and it doesn't have the right energy or the right juice that you want to have that gains that momentum into the next day. You want him to, that whole thing about I want to feel like it's home, all that. So
when you set up a visit, just real quick, I want to touch on this as well. Do you coaches ever fight over who's going to host them?
If you got a great host,
I want so and so, and I'm already using them.
Yeah, a little bit, or you figure out who you really want in that class or that weekend, and you put. I need this guy with him.
You got to have that kid, and then you know that kid's going to take care of him, and he's going to do the right thing, and he's going to keep him out of trouble and everything else. Yeah. And by the time he turns them back over to you Sunday morning, you got a good feel. Absolutely. We're going to move on to Stewart Hackleman. Stewart is 6'3", 235 pounds, out of Pinecrest.
Right.
Again, down in Florida now, so we reached down into Florida and Stewart is going to fill a need for us down the road as a long snapper as well. So what did you like about Stewart?
Well, here's a guy, once again, he says he's 240 pounds. Both Coach McFadden and Coach Brady went down there over the break, and they were telling me just how great this guy looks. How much he has improved, and will continue to improve. So this is a guy that we believe that, we're projecting a little bit off the development and the size, but he's going to be able to give us some depth once again, that defensive end spot. We're excited about where he's going. We're excited about getting a guy from Florida, and we're looking for big things out of him to help us.
Right, and you project a kid that's 6'3", 235 pounds. Now he's 6'4", 265, 270. And you told me a little bit about Dante Leonardo, how big he's getting now. I mean, with that extra year, so a kid like Stewart Hackleman is just going to get bigger and stronger and comes from a good program. And he's going to fill a need down the road because Michael Schiffert will be a junior, a senior, and obviously a long snapping is something that goes unheralded, and he does that as well.
Yep.
So he's a good one. Let's roll the tape on Stewart Hackleman. Again, 6'3", 235, Pinecrest. First thing I wrote down is he's a good athlete. Just a really good athlete. He's got great flexibility. He diagnoses plays very well, and that's not easy to do from the D-line position.
Yeah, he's got a little pop, has some extension, and he's a guy. He played lacrosse as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you always love that when a
I
guy
have
240
good feet.
pounds plays lacrosse. That's always a good thing.
Scary for other people. He played a lot of the season I saw here with the big boot on his hand.
Yeah.
He had a broken wrist or something, a broken finger there.
Right, which can also impede your development.
Sure.
When the season's over, you get it off, you start lifting again.
But I like the fact that he's playing with it.
Right, show a little
he's not
toughness.
sitting,
Right,
not
absolutely.
sitting on the sideline.
This is a good program that he
Yes,
comes
Pinecrest,
from. So.
yeah. Again, look at that. Down the line of scrimmage, doesn't get displaced, keeps his shoulders square. He's real strong at the point of attack.
Right. Yeah, he's got good pad
I mean, he's got
level,
some hump. He's got some strong. He's obviously reminds me a little bit. I don't know about you. Reminds me a little bit of Andy Labadov.
Yeah. I see that.
As again, that's the type I like to look at kids and say, well, what kind of kid that we already have. And Andy, I think his best football's ahead of him as well because he hasn't even touched the iceberg yet. That kid.
Yeah.
But Stewart's going to be a good one. And a kid that's that big, a lacrosse player, and long snaps, you got to know he's a good athlete.
Yep.
All Southeast Player of the Year, honorable mention, lacrosse standout. He's undecided right now, but another good get. And I tell you what, you cannot have enough of kids like that on this football team.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're going to talk now about the linebackers. Your position, the position you hone in on. You use two of them inside. We lose Mark Dodd. Okay, we got a couple kids coming back. Tell me a little bit about that position and what you're expecting from guys like Brandon Bryant and Michael Root and Hinchman and some of those guys.
So we get So we get Brandon Bryant's gonna plays our will linebacker and had a great season, and we get Mike Root back. Who was a guy who had a lot of promise coming out. He played a lot his freshman year.
New Canaan High School.
New Canaan. He's a 230-pound guy, plays with great pad level, and doesn't get knocked back. He will hopefully hone up that Mike spot for us. But we do have Rob Hinchin, who came along and developed really, really well for us. He was
thrown in and really played well.
Yeah.
Really
He kind of he had to kind of grow up. But now he's a guy who's a junior. He was like maybe 200 when he first showed up. Now you're looking at him at around 220. We're going to get him to that 225, and he can back up the Mike in the will spot.
Right.
We have obviously the Poe at the strike position out there as well. Now we have Jake Rose as another guy who hopefully takes that same steps that Hinchin took last year to this year. He was 198 pounds as a freshman. He was out there even at times, and now he's 210 pounds. He's 212. He's climbing, Yeah.
Well, Coach Potsy gets him, and that's 5-10 pounds right there.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you this. What do you look for in linebackers? You're going out there. Are you looking for a kid that's more stout at the point of attack, or are you looking for a kid that can drop and diagnose better because you asked them to do, really, you just asked them to play football in there? I mean, there's 6 guys in the box, and you guys got to stop the run.
Right. When you're talking about the 2 inside guys, you're talking about guys that we want to be able to read and react and play fast. We don't want them being those guys that are freezing.
Don't think too much.
Yeah, we want them just to be able to go.
Right.
Like Bryant, guys like that. I'm not as concerned about. Once again, they don't have to be 6'3", 240 pounds. Those days are kind of done because everybody is spreading out.
The days of that middle Mike linebacker. There are not too many of those guys left.
So typically we're looking for one guy that may be a little bit more stout because they spread you out, and then we end up walking another guy out like a Mark Dodd, like Mike Root. Those guys, they'll still take blocks on, but you got to, as you get removed from the box, you have to be as close. You have to at times be like a DB when you get walked out of the box.
Sure. I mean, there's sometimes you're facing empty. You're facing one back. I mean, you'd be facing one back all game.
Right.
And you got to be able to do that. And then you have to be able to tackle in space quarterbacks that can run. You face Colgate, you got to tackle a quarterback that can run. You face Lehigh, same thing. I mean, you face Holy Cross. I mean, these are teams where you can't get away with that middle linebacker that's just a buster inside. He's got to be athletic enough to break down and make plays on kids that can run football.
Yeah, and our league is very quarterback driven with athletic quarterbacks. Fordham, like I said, Holy Cross, Colgate, Lehigh. The guy from Georgetown was athletic last year.
So you recruit based upon what you're facing as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. And a lot of people, we got to just go out and find a linebacker. No, you got to find a linebacker that fits, can do the things you like to do, and then obviously make plays in our league. And we're going to talk about the linebackers right now. Kevin Hutchinson, let's roll on Kevin. 6'1", 188-pound linebacker out of St. Mary's, Georgia, Camden County. Number 34 here, strong at the point of attack, has really great instincts.
Yeah, this kid is a football player and comes from a great program. He's a contact kid. He's one of those guys where when he makes contact on a blocker, he runs through it. We joked with Coach Dell that we wasn't going to be able to go down to Camden County and pluck one out of there, and he went ahead and did it. And we're really excited about this kid. He came to our summer camp, drove for 2 days, got out of the car and ran his 40 and did all that. And I said, guys, this is a guy that wants to be here. This is a guy that
got out of the car and ran his 40.
Absolutely. I mean, just
Coach, let me stretch for a minute.
Yep,
all right, I'm good. Where do you want me to run?
Awesome kid.
Great instincts. First thing I wrote down, no hesitation. There's no hesitation in the way he plays. And one of the first things you said to me is, don't think, just play.
Right.
And that's what a kid like this does. I mean, and this is good football down there. I don't know much about Georgia football. Yeah. Tell me a little bit. This is good football.
Yeah. So he's down there in in the southern part of Georgia where he's playing Colquitt County, Valdosta, Lowndes. When you look at the top 25 of the USA Today, and there's 2, 3, 4 teams in his region.
Okay.
And they won their region. They ended up losing to Colquitt County. And they lost to a team out of Atlanta. I mean, they were like 13-2 or something. But they run a great program down there. And so, this is a top tier program that we got to get out of.
I noticed that he really, when I saw him, obviously that was only a 1-minute clip, but I watched him pass drop too. Very solid pass drops, which to me is coaching. It's getting a kid when he's 10th, 11th grade and teaching him where to be. Where's 2 go? Where's 1 coming? 2 disappears inside, turn back side. Find out where the back opens up and goes to. Where are they turning the protection? I mean, these are things for pass drops. He has very nice, solid pass drops as well as being a go-get-him type of no-hesitation linebacker.
Right. A couple things about Kevin. Kevin was a safety who then moved down to the outside linebacker spot, where we'll probably start him at that strike spot initially. As he gains weight, he has the longest arms. So if you talk about length as a linebacker and the ability to separate, he has it. All right. And on top of that, he's one of those guys, he reacts and he shoots his gun, so to speak, and he goes and he can shoot his hands. He gets extension, and we're really thrilled to have him.
We should make up a whole dictionary of coach speak so you guys can understand all the things that Art talks about and what Mickey talks about. An all-region defensive linebacker, 63 tackles, 5 tackles for losses, 4.2 GPA. Remember, I'm mentioning this all the time. 4.2, a track standout. His father played at Georgia Southern.
Yep.
His mom was a track athlete, or sister, at Vassar.
Yep.
So academics, very, very important in this family. He is going to study electrical and computer engineering. That's a nice get.
Yeah, went from Cornell on a visit to Cornell, and then I think he came down here and really fell in love with the place. And
So everybody out there that's saying that we can't get kids away from the Ivy, we just got a kid away from Cornell, right there. Let's move to Jack Lamb. Jack Lamb is a CB East. Anybody around the Valley understands Central Bucks East. Good football, good coaching, real solid background. Jack Lamb, we got 2 kids out of there. He's from Doylestown. Let's run the film on Jack Lamb. 6'1", 220 pounds. What you're going to notice about Jack is he's a downhill middle linebacker, and he can pass drop. He played quarterback on offense.
Yeah, you talk about a guy who shows some athleticism, shows toughness, be able to play both ways. And I went to watch him play this year, and there he is running more or less like Wildcat every snap, and he's got enough juice to play inside linebacker. He told his coach he has no problem playing quarterback to help the team out, but by no means is he going to give up his middle linebacker spot.
Yeah, he's just a terrific athlete, and he's a kid that, remember, I think you told me his coach said, this kid will be your captain when he's a senior. This kid will play football for you, and he's going to be one of the best kids you get.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where when the coach says that to you, you got to take that into consideration. Yeah. Absolutely.
He runs sideline to sideline. I also, and this is kind of a silly thing I look at, but when a kid makes a tackle, how quickly does he bounce? Sometimes he makes the catch and then he bounces right up. He's very athletic. Watch the way he diagnoses then. Plays with his hands, proper angles, and then finishes when he gets there. Separates the football. He's a good one. He has that little bit of a Mike linebacker to him, but really shows you when he showed on offense, if you watch all the highlights, he can do a lot of things. He's a very athletic kid. He's very productive.
Right, and Coach Clayton did a good job of going and getting him. Like I said, we watched him play live, and that's where you saw that he had that athleticism, but he also had that other gear in a game that you might not see on the film. He has that game speed, that competitive edge that we need, and that's the thing about Lamb that
He's going to fit real well here. He looks like a Lafayette kid. He really does. CB East, one of the best high schools in the eastern part of the United States. He first team All-State linebacker, All-Suburban first team. He was a first team player on defense as well as offense. Played quarterback, 800 yards passing, 800 yards rushing. His grandfather played at UNC. His father played at Delaware. He has a cousin that plays lacrosse at UVA. I mean, that's good lineage. He's going to come in here and study chemistry. So Jack Lamb, a really nice get from just maybe 45 minutes from here. He's going to fit well into what we just talked about, is what you're looking for.
Yes. We're excited about Jack.
He's a good one. Jack's a good one. We'll move on to Cole Whalen. Cole Whalen is out of Cedar Cliff High School. Cedar Cliff has a very strong background and a stream that runs right through Lafayette College. Tommy Kirchhoff, the late Tommy Kirchhoff, was from there. His father, Cole Whalen's father, Robert, is one of the best friends with Tommy Kirchhoff. They played high school football together, and he's out of Cedar Cliff, and Cole Whalen's going to be a good one as well, a good middle linebacker type kid.
Yeah, here's a guy that you see his wrestling stats, and just keeps gaining the weight. He gets bigger and bigger. He's a guy, because of the wrestling, he plays with good balance. And as he puts the weight on and gets a little bigger, I think he's going to be a guy that will be able to help us. Yeah,
and I noticed when you were talking about the wrestling, I think he wrestled at 132 and then 158, or I'm getting these numbers wrong, Cole, but 195 now.
Right.
So that progression, and when he gets away from wrestling, he's going to be 220 pounds.
Absolutely.
So we'll roll it on Cole Whalen. Cole Whalen, again, out of Cedar Cliff, 6 foot, 215 pounds, Camp Hill. Again, an area where these are big. This is big time football. This is some of the best football you're going to see here. Again, look at the downhill attacks, plays with his hands, has quick feet, and has real good patience. Something I saw in Michael Root 2 years ago when I watched Michael on film.
I like the way he accelerates on contact there. And he's got a little bit of that wrestling in him. You can see him just take guys down. He's
got a way to get guys on the ground, which tells you, he's a good tackler. Cole Whalen's going to be a good one. A very athletic family. The father was a wrestler at Cornell, and his younger brother, Robert, is an excellent baseball player. The reason I know that is because my son was at a tryout a couple weeks ago, a workout with U.S. Elite down in York, and his father was there, and his younger brother, Robert, is a 15U, exceptional baseball player. And my son's a 14U, so I got to meet Robert. Again, his dad played at CCHS with Hall of Famer Tommy Kirchhoff. He is an all-Mid-Penn Conference, all-Centennial honors, an excellent wrestler, just a fantastic kid. He is going to he's going to study engineering as well. So what do people sometimes get nervous? You get a family on campus here and they talk about engineering. We obviously don't want to talk them out of it, but at the same time, we want to make sure they understand what the commitments are with the lab work, with the work outside the classroom to handle that. What do you tell a kid when he says to you, engineering? Do you say, oh boy, I wouldn't? Or do you say, listen, this is perfect for you?
Well, the one thing about us here is that we can say to anyone who's out there listening and interested in Lafayette is you can come here and actually do both. There are other people that have gone different places, and then they may start with engineering, but by the first year they're getting, we want you out of there. But you can go on there and look, and we have guys that graduated and have graduated and have done both. So it is catered, and we allow for that. And same token, you're looking at the guy's math, and you're kind of making sure he is the right fit if he's set on that.
And we are lucky enough here on campus to have people in place, professors in place that are so athletically oriented, that just love the football program, and they really enjoy having these kids in class because they know that the fact that the football end of it has already geared them to the way they work with other people, the way they regiment their time and manage their time. And we are very, very blessed to have people on campus that do your tours. To have somebody take kids around the engineering building, the economics building, things like that. It's very, very important at a small school atmosphere like this.
Roger Ruggles does He does a lot of the engineering tours, plays basketball with the coaches at lunchtime. He's very involved. He's definitely a guy that has helped us tremendously.
Yeah, you cannot even put a price on that. They are the most outstanding people. They help us out so much. Let's move on to some defensive backs. Okay. position that's near and dear to my heart. Got to be athletic, got to have twitch, got to have COD, got to have fluid hips. I mean, we can go on and on, but a guy I love, Trey Jordan, right out of here, down the road here, not even 10 minutes from here, at Notre Dame High School, played at Pius and then came down to Notre Dame, has exceptional numbers as a quarterback. But again, him and Julian Spigner, two of the best athletes from the Valley, and Trey Jordan's one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, this is a young man who, has the grades, dominated the test score. Getting to know him, he was a very mature person. So when we got to looking at him, we watched him at Lawrence First and Goal. We watched him. He came to our camp and he ran and he worked out and he said, "I'll play whatever you want me to play." And I mean, as a coach, you just love the maturity. You love the way he competes.
That's a great thing to hear.
He competes, the way he carries himself. And I ended up recruiting him here locally, and I'm a Trey Jordan fan, and I hope he turns around and he becomes a player. And he's completely okay with playing DB.
That's awesome.
So.
He's a great football player. He's just so productive and does so many things well. Again, when Gary and I talked about him, he's a guy that's going to throw for 7,800 yards in his career, close to 7,900 yards, 85 touchdown passes. So he might be thinking, well, why aren't I a quarterback? But I tell you what, if he's on the defensive side full time, the kid is going to have picks and he's going to knock balls down. He's going to be able to play the corner position, and he's a bigger kid as well, right? I mean, he's not a small kid.
Right. Yeah, he's 6 foot, around 200 pounds now. I know he's working with the speed work. One of the speed guys here that everybody goes to in Easton, working on his hips and all that. He's bought in. I saw him the other day. He looks great. And
how important is it to have a corner that's got some size? Because you go, I mean, today, even in the Patriot League, look at Mrazek. I mean, we have some of the biggest wide receivers, so he's going to get a chance to go against those kids in spring ball in the next couple of years, where he's going to be able to earn his keep against some taller wideouts.
Well, we saw that with JR when JR had to go and play some corner due to injury, and we saw him, get away with it because of his length.
Yes.
So here's a guy who we're like, all right, we're going to start him there, see if he can do it.
Right.
And naturally, we know we can go back there and play safety. So
Absolutely.
The size of it does help you. I mean, it helps you in the run. It helps you if you want to play some cover 2 type coverages.
Yep.
So
King is a good rangy kind of kid with long length and stuff. Let's run Trey Jordan again. Notre Dame here. Trey, 6 foot, 195 out of Easton. So productive at the quarterback position. So we're going to see him a lot in there. You're going to see him run the read here a little bit. Has a great football feel, like a real good sense of where he is and where everybody else is. And going back to what you talked about, just really impressive when you watch him, not only playing the game, but just an impressive young man.
Yeah, very competitive guy.
Yeah, does so many, I wrote down so many things well. Played at Pius, played for obviously Coach Stambaugh, who was a terrific quarterback at Lehigh and was a very good coach there, now the head coach at Notre Dame. But look at the separation right there, the speed, I mean, just the ability to split. And get through there. He's got a lot of power, and I think he's a bigger kid than some people think, right? I mean, when you get next to him.
He's weight trained.
He's
only going to get bigger.
Well. 3,375 yards, 30 touchdowns this year. 851 yards rushing, 19. That's 50 touchdowns in his senior year. 50 touchdowns. Wow. First team All-State. Completed 67% of his passes, a single season record. All Colonial League. He's just a productive player. I mean, how many? You can't have enough of these guys. I mean, this is a guy I think you're going to have fun with at the defensive back position. Is to, you know what, I think he's going to do a lot of things well. He's a kid for me too, on special teams that can help you right away. Yeah, and you're going to be able to do some things.
No doubt. And Coach McFadden, he's welcoming the competition in the defense backfield. I know Coach McFadden, he likes his maturity. He likes the way that he carries himself, and we want to have that swagger, as you will, back there in the back end. Right. And he's definitely going to give us a bigger body.
Yeah, a bigger body. That's important. I mean, you can see sometimes, I always talk about when I break games down the size of receivers and defensive backs, but Trey's a bigger one. And you know what? When you take a kid from the Valley, you can't miss on a kid like that because he's right here. And Trey Jordan and Spigner are two of the best, and they're gonna join guys like Leonardo and some of these other guys and really represent in the Lehigh Valley. Done a great job. We're gonna move on to Eric Mitchell now. Eric, a special player. Yeah. I wrote just down special player. I mean, he's gonna be a corner for you. 5'10", 185 pounds. He also comes out of the Salisbury School, so he's had a little bit of a PG year. How important is that, do you think?
Yeah, so, here's a guy who gets to hone his skills. versus some of the other PG guys. So you'll get to go against a couple of
Right.
Division I type guys in the PG league. So here's a guy out of West Virginia who goes to the prep school in Connecticut. So you get a chance to almost get a red shirt year out of him, which can be the difference of 10 or even 15 pounds and maybe even an inch or so.
Sure.
And this kid has the best personality.
Yeah.
And we're talking about losing Smalley.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of promise and we're looking at this kid to be one of those kids that has that energy and that moxie that you look for in a corner. And I know Coach McFadden likes his film a lot.
It's a different position. You have to have some swag to play corner. You got to be able to get up after you get beat and get right back in somebody's face. And when you make a play, you make a play. You got to have that. You can't play that position if you're going to be a meek, mild type of kid. You got to be somebody that sits up in the face and take the challenge, because that's a position that's so scrutinized nowadays. But Eric Mitchell is a kid I think you're going to be able to get a lot out of. And what I love is he's a special teams kid.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, what a punt returner, what a kickoff
Unreal.
returner. Let's run Eric Mitchell's film right now. 5'10", 185 pounds. I got 3 or 4 stars next to his name. He is a difference maker. He gets get it done. Watch him here in coverage here. Watch the hips. Fluid hips, attacks the football. I mean, he must have had 6, 7 interceptions. Really does a nice job when the ball's in the air, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. You see this guy, here you see him with the ball in his hands on offense, on punt as a punt returner, several punt returns back for touchdowns. He's got the speed because he's a 100-meter guy.
Yep. Great straight line speed, I said.
Absolutely. I think he was second in West Virginia, the 100. Just a guy, you can see it right there. Just a guy that is good with the ball in his hands and just overall great athlete.
Yeah. And when you see a kid that's again, look at the hips here. When you see a kid that's 5'10" and you can still see the stride length and that in a kid like that, you know that they have good straight line speed. That's a nice play right there, keeping the hand off the back and then coming across.
Yep.
And then this play right here again. Just he's so comfortable in space and with his abilities that he takes chances like this. Watch him drive downhill on that football. So important to be able to do that. This kid is, and if you want to watch more, go online. This is only, again, a minute of it, but he has 20 to 30 punt returns and kickoff returns. That is so important for us because, like I told Mickey, we need to set up the offense with better field position, not only just with turnovers, but with punt returns and with kickoff returns. 2 years ago, we saw when we were explosive on kickoff return, it helped the offense out so much.
Yeah, this guy in the return game should help us immediately.
Yeah, and he's going to be a good one. First team, all-city, all-state on both sides, offense and defense. Again, spent that prep year. He's going to study engineering and computer science. Eric Mitchell is a difference maker. I remember the weekend you guys got him. That was a real good weekend for you guys. I remember I texted Mickey, and he texted me back. He says, "We're on fire right now." And Eric Mitchell was one of those kids. So very excited about him. He's, again, a kid I think that's going to help. Kid that can make that bus next year, I think, and play for you on special teams. So you're going to have some young kids. Even though we had a lot this year, I think you're going to have some of these kids that you're going to see. Guys like Eric Mitchell, you got to be really excited about.
Absolutely.
And then we move on to a guy like Nick Pearson. I mean, Nick Pearson could do the same type of things. I mean, they're just really 5'9", a little bit smaller, 180 out of Mason, Ohio. Again, speed, I wrote down speed, speed, speed. Great vision, a dominant player at the high school level at his position. Tell me what you liked about Nick when you saw his film.
Right, so you first off, like you said, you touch on speed, and at the corner spot, we have we went with a couple bigger guys. You had Jordan committed, you had Mitchell, but even with some of the guys like Isaiah and some of the other guys that we have in the program, we wanted a true cover guy. So you're looking for that top end speed. And if he is a 5'9" guy, really needs to be able to run. But when you look at Ohio, and you look at what Ohio State, and you look at some of those places, and you talk about a guy that is a state champion, track guy in Ohio.
Yep. State champion 4x200. I mean, the kid can fly. So, again, how does he fall? When the guy's a gem. There's a diamond right there.
So, Coach Fine went out there and he has a great rapport with the guys there in Cincinnati, I believe was where he's from. And then, he got sort of dropped, and I don't know the stories or whatever it is, but something happened at one of the MAC schools that was recruiting him, and we get that call, and and then all of a sudden you start pairing it up that he is an academic guy. So then that's kind of how we fell into him.
I saw him down at 21.8 200 meters. That is smoking. That is flying. 200-meter state champion. Let's roll his film right now. What you're going to notice about Nick is that he can flat out fly. He is a unbelievable football player. He's got great skills here. Good pedal. So hard to teach. Nice pedal, reading through the football. And then a corner that can come up and is not willing to stick his nose in there and tackle.
Absolutely. You look at him, he does a lot of things. He's aggressive. I mean, look at that acceleration, ability to transition. That's something you always look for on film, transition. Yeah. Obviously, if you can find corners that actually tackle on tape, that's always a bonus. A lot of times you don't
There's
actually
a lot of film of him making tackles. Look at how he stays home. Look at how he stays square right there, understands where he is in space. This is a good one. And I feel so good about myself. I wrote down transitions well, gifted athletically, smooth hips.
And he's like Mitchell. Once again, if you go on and watch his tape on some of the offensive stuff, you get to see him with the ball in his hands and how he finishes runs as well.
And I always look for defensive backs. Look at this play. Goes up high pointed, take the ball out of the air. Again, real comfortable in that position. Again, look at the transition, and he's had a number of plays where he takes the ball away, where he catches these tips.
This one's pretty
Watch this. The ball gets tipped off the kid's helmet.
Watch him run here.
And then he just opens the stride up. Look at the stride for a guy that's 5'9". Again, see the bottom of his feet. mean, these athletes, and I'm amazed sometimes. I can't believe that I played defensive back here. A kid like that would make me look silly. I mean, he is a phenomenal football player. Again, that weekend was a big weekend, and Nick Pearson is going to be a good one. I said he's the best. When I watch him on film, he's the best athlete on the field. And in the 4 or 5 games I watched, that's what he looks like to me. Just a really good one there. Let's move on. Dimitri Smith. Dimitri now spent the year up at Wyoming Sem. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Dimitri, because we want to speak about him. He had the ankle injury, the Achilles. Right. Tell me a little bit about where he is in the process and where, obviously, we're looking at playing him at safety.
So Dimitri went to prep school in game 2 or whatnot. Right. He just random non-contact injury. Yep. Popped his Achilles, had surgery a couple weeks later. So he has been, 3 or 4 months now removed.
Into the rehab.
He's in the rehab. He's obviously out of cast. He's working and running on a treadmill. Okay. He will be here in June. We're going to have access to him from June and July. Right. So he's looking to be here a little earlier because he's a little older now and he's hungry.
Right. Yeah, you would think, right?
To be involved.
Wait to get here.
He is a guy that went from 170 pounds. Now he's pushing, I don't even know, 190, 195 now. So I think he's pushing like 195 right now.
That's that prep year, that type of thing. He comes out of Southeast High School in Florida.
Right.
Okay.
Down in Bradenton.
Bradenton.
They play a good brand of football down there. You have Sarasota, Riverview, Bradenton Southeast, Manatee, Venice. There's quite a few really, really high quality programs. So if you play in a skill position down there, you usually can run.
He's a phenomenal athlete. From what I watched last year, obviously spent the year at prep, gained a little bit of that weight. He's only going to help you and really add to that depth. Let's roll Dimitri Smith. Again, Southeast High School. He spent the year at Wyoming at Wyoming Seminary. Wore 2 and 12, but you're going to see him just make plays. I mean, long. Look at the length of the stride, the length of the arms. Plays long up there. Got a little bit of Jared Roberts in him.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison to him. Jared, you figure Poe, Roberts, these guys that have length, they can cover ground. You see them on tape in space. You see him close. He's a contact guy, which if you're going to play quarters coverage at times, you need a safety who can come down, but you also need a guy who can track to the middle of the field and not, and be okay. Feel comfortable.
Again, high point there, makes a play right there. Again, he was a Florida All-District first team, 58 tackles when he was a senior, 9 pass breakups, had 37 catches offensively. I mean, he's just a pure athlete, can do it all. Here's another kid, and one thing I wrote down. He logged, and this is the type of kid he is. Look at him run here. Wow. That is incredible. I had to stop and watch that. Yep. 150 hours of community service with his church group, with other students, and with youth groups. 150 hours of community service. Now, my kids at Moravian Academy have to do 40 hours in 4 years. He did 150 hours of community service. To me, that speaks volumes of the type of kid he is and how he's going to come off of this injury, and I bet you he's going to be on the football field.
When you meet Dimitri, or when people here at Lafayette meet him when he comes on campus, he's going to make an impression on them. Here's a guy who travels to Greece and he speaks fluent Greek, and he's a guy who's very cultured and just a very impressive young man, very mature.
Yeah. Julius Caesar comes to dinner, he's our guy. But so, I mean, he's, again, just a fantastic kid. And I think what I heard in the grapevine, he helped you guys in recruiting as well with some guys up here and really did a nice job showing guys the way and what he likes so much about Lafayette.
Right, and once again, he's very mature, and he gets and he kind of understands it.
Right.
You know, he's very much a pro Lafayette guy the whole way through.
Yeah, he's a kid that's going to help us down the road and really get it done. Let's move on to Tommy Strasburger. Tommy is, again, out of CB East, down in Doylestown, 6'2". Let's roll his film, 6'2", 185 pounds. A top football school he comes from. He's got a great nose for the football. Good range. I really noticed that Tommy has great range back there. Got a great feel. Ball finds him a lot as a defensive back.
You know, a guy with 7, 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
He once again he came to our camp and we saw him run, and we saw a guy who has that speed. He's a 4-year player on the varsity basketball team there, had scholarship opportunities in basketball.
Wow.
Here's a guy who can just, he can really flat out run, but he's not just a straight line guy. He can track the ball and go get it, and you love that.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed about him. He's got a great nose for the ball, really high football IQ, and I think that really speaks volumes towards Central Bucks. He looks like a kid that's really easy to work with on special teams right away. I mean, you could put that kid, hey, you got this lane, you're going to run down. Yeah. You're one of the wings on the punt team. This is a kid that can be a gunner. He's long. He's a pure football player, really does a lot of good things, and has a great nose for the football. Something you can't teach that to everybody. Either you know where the football is or you don't, and you know how to get there. He's got terrific range here, and he catches the ball. I mean, this is a really nice kid. His father played at Nebraska. Yeah. I mean, his father's a big-time football, great lineage. So Tommy Strasburg, another good one, all suburban first team, and was his teammates with Jack Lamb. So they're both coming here as well. He's going to be an undecided major. So Tommy Strasburg, another good one. We're going to move on to Colin Thorne. Okay, a late get for you guys. Mm-hmm. Colin Thorne, another defensive back. Very similar to the one we just saw, maybe not as big as Strasburger, 6', 185. Tell me a little bit about Colin.
Well, once again, you get Colin. We also got him. He's a PG as well, and he's a guy who
Suffield Academy.
Right? Played with the same as Chuma, Andrew Chuma.
Yeah, Andrew Chuma.
So here's a guy who can run the alleys. He gives us that depth once again back there, the safety position, especially you move Poe. Now all of a sudden you start to kind of need another body back there. Mm-hmm. Here's a guy who can run the alleys. He played at a high level. That's a really good prep league. We're really excited about him, and we asked him once again, hey, what do you want to play? I want to play safety. I want to come downhill. Yeah. So
let's run his film real quick here. Colin Thorne, as we wrap things up, 6', 185. Again, out of Suffield Academy, a very good athlete. Again, got that PG year, quick feet. Really competes for the ball well, I put down. Is just a pure football player. And you know what? I love the way he makes things happen. He lays the wood, as I say. He can come across and has got a nose for the football and really can put some licks on people. Comes up and supports the run as well. You can't ask the safety to do more than that. Colin Thorne's going to be a nice one here. Again, a kid on special teams, I think you can plug in and play. Watch him come up here.
Look at him run the alley.
Yeah, it really does a nice job support. These are things that you ask your safeties to do. Run the alley, star the defense, come down, roll to the middle third, play in space, have range. I mean, he fits really into a nice mold for Coach McFadden.
Right. What you like is you see him actually playing some of the coverages that we run. Whenever you watch tape, and the guy's not a box guy, but he's back there in space. He comes downhill. Yeah, he high points balls. He's aggressive.
And he's got that extra year, so he's going to come in here thinking, you know what, I should be playing. I want to get on the field. I've already spent my year. I should be a sophomore in high school. So another good one. But I'm telling you what a nice group of kids. And you can see the transformation from the first year we were doing scholarships. Now your second year. But the kids are better. They're going to contribute. And I tell you what, you filled a lot of good needs today. Today was a really good day.
Yeah, we're excited about the class on defense. We're excited about the group that we have coming back. I know they're hungry. I know they want to be successful on the field. And like I said, we want to eat, as we were saying here in 2016. We're excited.
This is going to be a good one. Coach, thanks so much for a couple minutes. Well, this has been the end of the segment for defense. We talked about the offensive players, 12. We talked about the defense, 12. We talked about a long snapper. Just an incredible day right here. Please take a look at all these kids. You're going to love them. They fill a lot of needs for Lafayette, and you can see by the emotion, the art link, and Mickey Fine. They are excited about these 25 kids coming in. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back in a short while.